So let's get straight into it, right to the point. Up here, I have the ETH BTC chart on a weekly, and you can see, I think that it has officially become a sell the news event. At least this is what the charts are telling me. So I'm going to show you exactly which coins I would be looking to rotate into. And we, of course, will touch a little bit on Bitcoin as well, because it is overall a very important day for all markets, not just crypto, but traditional as well, since we do have the CPI information coming out today. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Looking at this chart over here, you can see that Ethereum against Bitcoin does look like it wants to turn over and come to the downside. And very simply put, what that would mean is that, of course, Ethereum would be losing some of its market cap, and that market cap might be flowing into coins such as Bitcoin. So we will look at Bitcoin chart independently to see if there is any sort of sign of strength within that. I also want to quickly take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly over here, and let's see what that looks like, how yesterday has panned out and where we are in the greater scheme of things. So looking at this chart over here, you can see that the weekly is still holding above the range high, which of course is one good thing, at least for Bitcoin. And essentially your next target becomes that 200 MA. Let's just put those on again. The 200 MA, if you clear that, then you're looking at the 21. This is a pivotal area around that 24,300. So this is just repeating based off of yesterday. You do all know that. Looking at the stock market, though, you can see that the Nasdaq is coming straight into that key area. If the data is good today, I would anticipate that price would push directly into this, possibly even a bit further. And then we can see how things go. Maybe there's going to be some sort of a macro shift within the market, at least from traditional markets. That is the case. Looking at the DXY, still has a little bit more to go to the downside. Let's measure that out as a percentage before it hits our primary trend line. So 0.9%. If it makes it all the way down into the box, that's another 2.7% to the downside for the DXY. Remember, a move that big in the DXY could literally push Bitcoin as high as about $28,000. If it makes it from here all the way down into this box, then you can expect a massive rally. And then, of course, we are getting volatility today, and the market already knows that, hence why the VIX is already up 4.7%. So that's our volatility indicator for the S&P 500. S&P 500 futures also pushing towards its orange area. This was my primary target. I'm going to delete that because it was met. I was thinking that we possibly deviate back down after that, but it looks like there is still a bit more upside strength. And for this to hit the orange line or horizontal, it's got another 1.26% to go. So that is for traditional markets. But most of what I'm saying now might not be relevant, because obviously when the data comes out, things are going to change very, very quickly, whether that's an expansive move to the upside or things start to turn over to the downside. So for those of you who are watching later, I mean, if the data is going to be interpreted badly, then what you need to know is that this is probably going to turn down like that, and then that is going to look like yet another higher low, and that starts to create a bad picture. You almost have like some sort of a head and shoulders that's forming over here with a neckline. If that breaks down, then it could get ugly quite quickly. However, if the data is interpreted well, and you start to see this, maybe it rallies massively and starts to clear above this zone over here, then I would honestly say that maybe the whole picture is completely changing and the market is going to go fully risk on again. But you don't need to have FOMO going into this. Rather wait for confirmation and see exactly what happens. Wait for it to play out. That's what the smart investors would do, and the smart traders. They wouldn't be trying to front run any of these things, because you would be guessing unless you have inside information, which I'm assuming if you're watching my show, you probably don't, because you wouldn't need to watch the show. You'd just be able to trade off of that. So that's speaking to most of you. You don't have that inside info, so just sit it out. Wait for the result to play out. Remember that chart that I showed you yesterday with the CPI, that every single time you get the result, there usually is either a rip to the upside or the downside, and then the real move only follows on a couple of days later. So wait for that real move and that real information to come out with regards to the market. Okay, looking at our inverted chart over here, we got 2 days and 17 hours to close. Still is essentially a higher high, looking for the next higher low. So still bearish, at least on that chart. Here's our 3-day chart. Look, we have cleared above the mid-range over here. So if you were only trading off of this chart, then technically speaking, you'd be looking for the next upside target. If you weren't using any other chart but this is your line in the sand as the mid-range. As long as price doesn't come back below that 21,700, then you would be targeting the upside, which is actually 24,386. That would definitely be my next profit-taking zone. Looking here at Bitcoin, of course, let me just go on to this one. I'm on the wrong Bitcoin. Okay, so contraction, expansion. We have covered this multiple times. And then we're asking ourselves the question, is this the next bull trap? Well, with that to be confirmed would be any sort of a close under that daily low, which is coming in at 21,800. If you start to see price coming below that level, you would probably start to see what they call that tower top, which looks something like this. Price goes up like that, sideways a bit, and then it comes straight back down. That would be a massive bull trap. However, on the contrary, if price can hold a couple of days above here, this previous resistance area would now start to be flipping into support, and that would give the super guppy indicator an opportunity to turn gray like this. And if we can keep holding for multiple days above this level, I would say realistically, you probably need to hold above this level for the rest of September and consolidate sideways. Then things start to change. There's a real opportunity for bulls to take control, and you'll of course be contending with the next major zone then, which is coming in between 28,000 is going to be this moving average over here, which is also in line with the CME gap, which has a high probability of being filled. Now, looking at Ethereum, so very, very interesting. If you look at Ethereum over here, I personally expected something like this. I expect to sell the news event. Hence, the thumbnail for today, of course, is I'm selling my Ethereum for these two coins. I guess one of the coins, I can just give you the spoiler alert, would be Bitcoin. If I were to be rotating and selling my Ethereum and you're looking to go into something else, I do think Bitcoin is a good option because we do also have the dominance, which has been extremely low, and it is starting to tick back up to the upside. So keep an eye out on Bitcoin. That is one of them. Now, what you can see over here, this would be the exact way that you would expect this to reject. You had your support line. We broke down, came back up, retest that diagonal support as resistance. And then we also have this main resistance zone over here, which you can see we're now starting to create this deviation back to the downside. I mean, if we start to close any candles, any daily candle here or lower, then you pretty much have a confirmed deviation, and I would start to target lower prices. I must be honest with you, I was hoping that this would spike up a little bit more for a better shorting opportunity, at least a better risk to reward shorting opportunity. I think I mentioned to you guys yesterday, I was eyeing out the $1,800 to $1,900 area. Somewhere around here, I was hoping to see a deviation like that. And then that would have been my signal to go short. So look, I haven't taken any short position on this yet. However, there is still an opportunity. Stay till the end. One of my last charts that I'm going to show you is a trade set up for Ethereum. So that's the way that it's looking. We always have to give both sides of the coin, though. What would a bullish scenario look like? Well, if this started to immediately turn around now and regain this resistance over here, start to hold here, then it would look like yet another high low. So you would have 1, 2, this would be your third higher low. And then it is still an uptrend, but you need to know that you are coming directly into resistance. This whole zone over here between 1,700 and 2,000 is going to be your primary resistance zone for Ethereum. So moving on to this chart over here for Bitcoin on the daily. This is what we were looking at yesterday, and we said to ourselves, well, let's see what happens at this zone over here. We had this trend line. We haven't yet closed the daily above that. So this price action, when I looked this morning, we were rejecting from the trend line on the RSI, and we recently just pushed back above that. So it's going to be interesting. Again, I mentioned yesterday, it's all going to come down to today's CPI results. If they are interpreted lower than expected, and it's a good thing, and it looks like the market is shifting, then I would expect that this is going to close above this zone, and that would give Bitcoin price the opportunity to push through these levels. But you can see there is definite, call it like trench warfare around these areas whereby both the bulls and the bears are fighting for the zone. Bears are keeping price underneath the primary resistance. So far I would definitely give them the edge. But if bulls are able to push it above this level, above the green box, and they're able to break this this diagonal that we have over here, then I would say, you know, maybe the bulls do have a chance. So basically what I'm saying is that definitely at the moment we're in a very critical point, and the market does have an opportunity, at least the bulls have an opportunity to flip this market back bullish again. But there is still a lot more work for them to do than there is for the bears to do. And the simple reason for that is because the trend continues to remain down. Yes, the bulls have got, they've secured a nice bullish momentum move over here, but it is still a series of lower lows and lower highs, at least on the daily time frame. So moving on to that trade setup that I said to you now, on Ethereum, it would look something like this. If bulls are not able to flip this key horizontal, which is coming in at $1,721, this would be a short opportunity. Bear in mind, it is still a little bit of a risky short, but nevertheless, I'm giving it to you anyway, just out of interest sake, because you do still have all the EMAs which have crossed to the upside. So you have the yellow 21, which is above the pink 50, which is above the blue 200. Now, typically, that would signal to you a bullish momentum move. And if you look at the price action over here, I'm kind of viewing it in two different ways. I'm viewing this as a key level, which of course, if lost, you'd be targeting the bottom of that this low time frame range, which is coming in at 1,526. But then on the other side of the coin, I'm also trying to view this as a potential trend change. But because markets either trend or they range. At the moment, this is more of a ranging market still, but it's on the verge of flipping into a new trend. And let me show you what I mean by that. So if you look at the price action over here, because I don't want to confuse you, if you look at the price action over here, you would have, okay, a low. That's one low. Then you have a second high low. So that's two. And if price were to come and hold above this moving average, just as an example, that could potentially be your third higher low. But in order to establish a trend, you need this to happen at least 3 times, right? So you need 1, 2, 3, and now you start to have a trend. Once you create that next higher high, technically, as a trend trader, you would be looking for the buy back onto this horizontal. The fourth touch would be your perfected entry and your safest entry as a trend trader. So you need to determine for yourself, are you still treating this market as ranging, or are you treating this market as trending? Personally, I think the side still remains more probable that it's ranging, and that this is going to be a deviation below the key horizontal and price is going to come down. If it's a ranging market, that means that we forget the moving averages. Yes, it's all great and well that they cross, but look at how many times that's happened before, and it was unreliable. We crossed up, crossed down, crossed up, crossed down, all over the place, and that is what you expect in a ranging market. So with that being said, let's look at what Bitcoin's doing on this time frame over here on the 4 hour. So we had the big move. Similar to the higher time frames that I've shown you, we're coming directly into key horizontal resistance, which is over here between 23,000 and 23,500. So know what you're dealing with. If you are going long, you are pretty much longing straight into resistance. But maybe for short-term traders, that's something that you want to do. You're looking for a scalp. As long as you have your risk to reward clearly defined and you know exactly where you're going to be wrong in the trade, then I guess there's nothing wrong with that. Now, one other coin that's done phenomenally well is Solana. So I think a lot of people were rotating from the Ethereum merge hype into Solana. And you can see that by the price action over here. It's going to be somewhat similar to what I just showed you on Ethereum in terms of the difference between a range and a trend. However, if it is trying to establish a new trend, you do have a simple trend line over here. And what I prefer about this in relation to what I just showed you on Ethereum is that at least for Solana, Solana has cleared a major horizontal zone, which is currently this area between $35 and $36.50. So what that means is you have 1, 2 touches, you would now be looking for the third. I wouldn't rotate my ETH directly into this right now. If I were you, I would rather wait for something like this, even if it ends up pushing up further, but wait for the pullback for the retest. This would be a nice retest. So you have 1 area over here, 2 areas over here, and now you would have your third retest, which comes into that diagonal. It's holding above all the EMAs, which are currently posturing back to the upside. And then, of course, most importantly, it's coming into a key horizontal, which can be holding as support. And then you have a very easy invalidation level, which is going to be this zone over here. Price starts to fall back like this, retest into that. Then you cut the position because you're probably coming all the way back down to about $27 on Solana. So there is 2 trade ideas and opportunities for you. Know that also on Solana, though, if it does have a big push up, you're looking at about $44, $45 as your next major resistance zone. So with that being said, if you're all confused about how to short, well, firstly, you probably shouldn't be shorting if it's going to be your first attempt. At least practice with a demo account. But I did drop this video over the course of the weekend in anticipation of what was going to take place now. So if you are trying to brush up your skills on shorting, watch this video. Short ETH failed merge using Bitget. I did put that in, or at least if you just type in this title over here, you should get access to the video, which was dropped on the weekend. Okay, looking at our cleaner charts over here, which is also on the 4-hour with our pure horizontals. So we covered this yesterday. We wiped the stops, created a short squeeze. That's why you have this massive impulse move to the upside. And look at how it just grinds like this, grinds up. These are all shorts that are panicking that were over here. These guys are panicking, closing their short positions. So this rally is being led, at least in my opinion, by shorts closing their positions because they're fearful that they're going to get stopped out. And that's what creates these massive impulsive moves. Now, there is still a possibility, especially if the data is good today, that this move will run all the way up to $25,000. It might not close there. I would expect the close to happen below this zone over here. So on our 3-day chart, any spike that goes up, fine. I mean, as long as, well, it depends if you're bullish or bearish. If you're bullish, you definitely want to see a close above this zone. But on the side of probability, I don't think that's going to be the case. I would think potentially a big spike above, and then that would be left as a wick, and price would still end up closing below this $24,386 level. So kind of looking at it like that, spike up, come back down. Ethereum, let's see what Ethereum's doing. So Ethereum, these lines over here was what I drew in anticipation of how things could play out. So as mentioned, I was looking for a push a little bit higher into this $1,800, $1,900 level, and that would have been the ideal short, but it is looking like it's already starting to break down. So I have given you the trade idea. Your major support level lies at $1,424 to $1,460. I would TP, as I showed you in the previous trade idea, at these lows over here, just to be safe. If I were you, if you're going to take that trade, that's one way to look at it. So what about bullish trades? Bullish trades, I gave one yesterday. It was ApeCoin. I took the trade myself. I feel like a bit like an idiot because I closed it now too early and it started to rip a bit higher. But over here was ApeCoin. There is some sort of a staking rewards thing that's coming up. And remember, with ApeCoin, there's a lot of very wealthy people that are involved with it because, as you know, the Bored Apes were hundreds of ETH. So these are wealthy guys that are in it for the long run and they're going to be holding for a long time. So with that being said, this is essentially the trade idea. A lot of the charts look very similar, guys. So it's holding a simple trend line. It doesn't look like an ultimate bottom to me. This is the low, I believe, on ApeCoin. But you can see it is respecting the trend line over here. You have a big push up, come back down, retest, push up, come back down. I bought on this low over here. The reason why I sold, by the way, now was purely because I don't really see it worth risking the hold if I believe that ETH is probably going to sell off. And as I just told you, I think that the smart traders and professional investors out there, they don't typically choose a direction going into these CPI results because it's unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, we can only speculate, and we know that the volatility is insanely wild. So what's the point of me holding this if I've already made good profit? I held it from literally here. Let's see. And I sold it on those closes. That was literally almost a 10% move in less than 12 hours. And I held that with a big spot position. So I'm happy. I've closed my position, taken the profits. If it comes back to this trend line and it looks like a clean hold, now after the CPI results, great, I'll re-enter that. Otherwise, I'll enter higher. Remember, I said I like to actually wait for 4 touches. So you got 1 over there, you got 2. This was the 3rd one. Still risky, not a properly established trend yet. Something like that. 1 more push up. That will give us the 3rd higher high, and then the 4th higher low. That would be my entry target and look good. Dean says, where did I give this trade? I gave it here in the Daily Candle newsletter. If you click the link in the description below, you'll be able to gain access there. For some of you, you may not receive the newsletter. To resolve that issue, all you need to do is take the address, look in your spam, and then add that email address that you're receiving the Daily Candle from, and add it as a contact in your email. Then it won't spam, it won't send it to the spam folder anymore, and you should get it every day. I gave a couple of other trades in here as well. I think I gave Bitcoin. So, guys, I think that brings us to the end of the stream. Thank you all for watching. Make sure that you hit the like, subscribe button as well if you do enjoy this content. And then for those of you who are not yet in the Discord, please make sure that you click the link below. The Discord is over here. You'll be able to gain access. If you want to get access though into the VIP sections, then use any one of these links below. Sign up with OKX, sign up with Prime XBT. We will have them partnered with the Discord soon. And then you have Bitget here as well. So with that being said, I think that brings us to the end. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's see what today brings. It's going to be an interesting day. Have fun, trade well, and I will see you all on the next video. Cheers for now.